And it is a good morning. We welcome you this morning. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in truth. And we believe that the truth will set you free, and that power talks. Good morning, Melody. Great job on that tap dance.
Well, I do try. That's my morning exercise.
You do fine. You do just fine.
I do fine. For some reason, my computer has frozen, so everything I wanted to talk about is frozen. So, it's all up to
you.
And it's beautiful outside, so if we can't have weather that's cold and freezing, I guess my computer has to freeze.
I guess so. Well, I'm in a computer frenzy as well. They took my main computer out of here yesterday, and I said, take care of the baby. So I'm on a different computer, and I'm having issues, too. So we're going to rely on, it is Open Mic Fridays, and we're going to rely on the listeners to get us through this one. How's that sound?
Sounds like a plan.
I have some stuff that's interesting. It's not really news, I guess. I guess some of it is, but we're heading into Mother's Day weekend, and I was kind of looking for things for Mother's Day, kind of giving away the next show, what I'm going to do on my Friday show. But I found this article, a couple of different articles here that they kind of lean toward really common sense, but some of it is family-oriented. And this one is coming from the Daily Signal, and it's a bill that's being passed in Oklahoma legislature. And basically, it's about adoption. It says, but the LGBT activists are smearing this bill because they think it's, they think it's going against them, which it really isn't. But it says Oklahoma is just shy of a major victory for children in the adoption and foster care system. But the LGBT activist groups are now threatening the state with boycotts if leadership follows through. The Senate bill is 1140, passed the Oklahoma legislature, and is currently sitting on the desk of Governor Mary Fallon, I'm not sure how she pronounces her name. And the bill ensures, this is all it does, the bill ensures that faith-based foster and adoption providers can continue to operate according to their religious and moral beliefs as they serve children and families in need. It doesn't exclude anybody. It's just protecting those who are Christian. Particularly, we know they're the ones under the most attack, but the faith-based foster. So if they're foster parents and they want to take the kids to church or they want to teach them out of the Bible, I think right now they've been persecuted and ridiculed for that, and so this is protecting them. But the LGBT activist groups, like the Human Rights Campaign, are attacking the bill, claiming that it shrinks the pool of prospective parents and is a blatant attempt to discriminate against LGBTQ Oklahomans. These accusations, it says in this article, could not be further from the truth. The SB 1140 has no effect whatsoever on who can adopt. The LGBT individuals are free to adopt in all 50 states, and this bill wouldn't change that. Instead, this bill would maintain the current status of Oklahoma's child welfare system, where faith-based agencies play a small but crucial role in meeting children's needs. It goes on in this article to explain. It goes into even, with the opioid crisis, you have parents that overdose and sometimes die, don't make it, and then we have children in foster care for either the parent who is incapable of taking care of the children, not able to, or the parent that is gone and has to go and the children have to go into foster care. And it even mentions in here that those who go into the foster care with those with the strong faith, 20% who persevere. It says, and of the remaining 20% who persevere, most are motivated by their faith. So it says 80% of prospective foster parents who train with public agencies drop out within the first 2 years, and that's because of all the persecution and trouble that they get. But 20% that stay in it the children do better because they have something to stand on and, something to give them hope, the faith. So anyway, that was something I found interesting as we're looking at, it's Mother's Day. We're thinking about family and all this and that. And I thought that's kind of interesting. And it's current. I mean, this was written by Monica Burke yesterday. And I thought it was kind of interesting. And once again, I talked earlier this week about the California bill that they're trying to pass you cannot counsel or help anyone that maybe wants to get out of their lifestyle situation if they are gay or homosexual or whatever the case may be. They're making it unlawful for counselors to help them. They can't even ask for help if they want to. So, it seems like they're desperate people. I don't get the, this doesn't mean they cannot adopt. It's just protecting those who are adopting that are Christian, particularly. That's what I'm going to use. That they can continue to practice their faith with these foster children or these newly adopted children, which I think it's strange that in America we even have to have such a bill, but we do apparently. So I thought that was interesting.
Yes, it is very much so.
And it's interesting to me, and of course it's interesting to me that they put up such a fight. The state of California is trying to, in that bill, it would seem even books aren't allowed, like self-help books, helping you through your emotions, helping you through to change your personality. Remember we talked about changing your personality in 30 days, so that wouldn't be allowed if you were trying to change your sexual orientation in the state of California. Those books or those things would not be allowed, and of course they include the Bible in that. So it's just strange times. It's so telling of how far away we have fallen in this country, but that we even have to have such a bill. But some people are still there. They're still fighting, still putting these things out, trying to protect, and we have to give them kudos for that, I guess.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. My computer's still frozen.
I'm feeling all alone here, Melody. Okay, let's. This is Open Mic Friday, correct? So we're going to open the mic up, and it's 717-300-1218. They're thinking these ladies have lost it for sure. 717-300-1218. It's not us that lost it; it's our computers that have lost it. Go ahead. You have something?
I think we do need to make an announcement once again. We did it once, and I don't know if you've mentioned it on the days that, like on Wednesday when I wasn't here, but what day was it? The 21st will be the last day for Power Talks here at this time schedule. So, we encourage, for those listeners who haven't called in, we'd sure like to hear from you if you've been listening to the program. When did we start this program, Power Talks, Beth? Back in August.
September.
Was it August, September?
Uh-huh.
And
I can look so fast.
See what happens to old ladies' memories.
I have my dates right here. I have every show. It was August the 3rd.
Yeah.
August the 1st. It was on a Tuesday. We started on a Tuesday, August the 1st.
And the 21st will actually be our 200th program.
Yes, it will. Mm-hmm. Today is 194.
194. So, again, we'd sure like to hear those who've been listening to the program that haven't called in, and those that have called in too. We're not ignoring you, but
no, we're not.
No, we're not ignoring you, and we always enjoyed talking to you over these months and the insights that you give us and to the listeners. So, thank you. And but I think we just needed to update that once more, just so those who might not have listened that day.
That's one thing about the call-in shows. This is a call-in show. We take callers, and my show that comes in the next hour on 12.160, I'm always open for callers. Very rarely do I not take callers. And I think that's so important because we really are the forgotten people. And we're not going to agree on everything. That's just a given because that's just who we are. That's what makes us American, for one thing. But human beings don't agree on everything, no matter who you are. But I learn a lot and can see, I like to see both sides. I want to hear both sides because I can learn a lot from both sides. I may not agree, but you come into that middle zone, and I think it helps me anyway. I learn quite a bit from the listeners at times, and I write down where they tell me to go on websites or other things, and then I lose those notes. I want them to know that. I do lose the notes because I write them down here in the studio, and then they disappear. It's like there's a studio monster that comes in here and takes my notes. We had talked earlier this week about, I'm trying to think what I even had in an article, but we were talking about basically common sense and some of the things that have just gone crazy in this nation. And I stumbled on this article that's a couple of days old, actually, and it's from the WorldNet Daily, and it's called The War on Wisdom. Oh, I know it was. I know it was when I was using that California article, and we were talking about how far away we have fallen, and that we don't use any common sense in our thinking at times. But this is called The War on Wisdom, and it's written by Dennis Prager. And it's really a great article. I thought it was anyway. He talks about the ignorance of the left, and he's blaming the baby boomers, which I think we have a lot of blame on our shoulders for a lot of things. The other was we were talking about earlier with the state of California and the LGBT, is this sexual revolution, that came to be during the baby boomers, the hippie era. And all of a sudden, we've raised these kids that don't know right from wrong. They don't know who they are. They can look in the mirror and they don't know who they are. They don't know how to work on. This is generally speaking. I know a lot of young people that are not like that. But in generality, it seems that so many, we hear about the crying rooms in the universities. You've got to have a crying closet, safe spaces. They've come up with this, and I loved what Joe said the other day. Instead of cultural appropriation, maybe we should have cultural appreciation. But this article, he says America has been influenced and is now being largely led by members of the baby boomer generation. This is the generation that came up with the motto. Do you remember what the motto was? I had forgotten about it.
Make love, not war?
Well, that was one of them. Never trust anyone over 30. Do you remember that? Never trust anyone over 30, making it the first American generation to proclaim contempt for wisdom as a virtue. Never trust anyone over 30. I'd kind of forgotten about that. He goes on to say, he says, the left in America, and he's not talking about necessarily liberals, he's talking about the left wings that go so radical, is founded on the rejection of wisdom. It is possible to be on the left and be kind and honest in business and faithful to one's spouse, etc., but it is not possible to be wise if one subscribes to leftists as opposed to liberal, he says, leftist ideas. And he goes on and explains some of what those are, and one of those is the cultural appropriation that comes out of the left-wing crazy thinkers. And we're going into a break. Your calls are welcome. It is Open Mic Friday. You don't have to talk about what we're talking about. We'll talk about almost anything you want to talk about. It's 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Have you seen the Left Behind movies? Have you read the Left Behind fictional book series? Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. Because they see the world stage shaping to fulfill what they have been led to believe is sound biblical interpretation, a left behind rapture scenario. This false view of prophecy is reinforced in the mind, not only of its adherents, but also includes those who have been merely exposed to the specific media. Is it possible that false prophecy can be fulfilled? The rapture theories have always been in dispute. Pre-trib, mid-trib, and post-trib disputes have risen up in exclusively evangelical circles of recent history, so that when true believers don't suddenly disappear, this element will easily go by the wayside when all see a new Jewish temple begin to be built. Will this be part of the great delusion that will come upon the whole earth? It seems that this great prophetic delusion has already overcome practically the entire American evangelical and Christian world. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. To learn more, visit crosstheborder.org. That's CROSS, crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned to listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann. In the morning, I was talking about this war on wisdom, and it's an article that's from the Daily Signal, which is part of the Heritage Foundation. You know, they should give us a dime or two every time we say that. He goes into this article and he talks about values that that we were taught by, our parents, which would have been, at least my parent, I know I'm a little older than you, the greatest generation ever. That's the generation that we are losing right now. They taught us to get married before you have children, to strive to stay married for their sake, get the education you need for gainful employment, work hard, and avoid idleness. Go the extra mile for your employee or your client. Be a patriot ready to serve the country. Be neighborly, civic-minded, and charitable. Avoid coarse language in public. Be respectful of authority. Eschew substance abuse and crime. And those are the things that basically the left is rejecting. You don't need to get married. Of course, if you get pregnant, you can just have an abortion and get rid of it. They're the same ones that came up with the cultural appropriation, which, the little girl that went to prom in a Chinese dress was ridiculed. And so it's claiming, do you consider that wise or is that moronic? And, of course, I think it's moronic. They're also the ones that think there's more than two genders. Do you think that's wise or foolish? And he goes on and on into some of the things that they do to equate getting married before having children, working hard, and eschewing substance abuse and crime. They parallel that with white supremacy. They believe it is to betray an absence of wisdom that is depressing and it is birth-taking. They just think it's all wrong, and they reject all the wisdom from the generation before or the two generations before. And I thought that was kind of, we talk about how far down this road we've gone, and I never thought about our generation. I did think about us as far as we're the ones that had this sexual revolution and caused a lot of trouble, a lot of diseases, abortion, confusion. We've got children being raised by one parent that don't know who they are. The parent doesn't know who they are. The kid doesn't know who they are. But I had forgotten all about that. Never trust anyone over 30. And, of course, rejecting wisdom from those who have maybe learned life the hard way. And I thought it was real interesting, but that's just me.
No, it's everybody. It is interesting, and we certainly have seen, and of course everybody blames the baby boomers for everything, even getting old and draining Social Security. They blame the baby boomers, and like we're the ones that are at fault for getting. Hey, I'd love to stay young forever, but
it's like we're the ones at fault for our parents coming home from the war and making so much love that all of us were born.
Yeah,
Isn't that a song? That's a song. There's a song about that. But the baby boomers have been spoiled because now my parents didn't spoil us very much, but that generation worked hard, and they didn't want their kids to have to do all of the things that they did. And then that next generation, I mean, people that are my generation that I saw raising their kids, they do everything for them, everything. So the child goes out in the world, he doesn't know or she doesn't know how to do a load of laundry, they don't know how to wash a dish, or how to balance a checkbook. They don't know how to work hard because they haven't done that, how to prioritize things, because they weren't taught that. They weren't taught that in the home. The mom or the dad did everything for them. They were good parents as far as that part, but that doesn't prepare the child for the future. And we have a lot of that going on, and I think that's a lot of the stupidity that we see in the generation today. Now, there are exceptions, and I don't want to just be generalizing all children as that. Obviously, my parents didn't spoil me. I guess probably more spoiled than they were, but they didn't spoil us, and we weren't given everything we wanted, obviously. And I remember one time I wanted a pair of sandals so bad. We've talked about flip-flops. I wanted a pair of sandals so bad. I was probably a sophomore or junior in high school. I didn't have my driver's license yet. And my daddy was we lived out in the country over in Jamestown area, Sandy Hook area, down by the river. And he said, I'm going to town. He was coming to California, Missouri. He said, I'm going to go to town. You come with me and we'll see if we can find you some shoes. Now, that was bizarre and unusual that my dad wanted to get me a pair of sandals because he heard me mention it. Now, Mom can ignore you. Mother was really good at ignoring you if you said you wanted something. So if you really wanted something, I didn't play that game, but if you really wanted something, you needed to ask Daddy. But you had to have a good reason for wanting. And I really didn't have a good reason for wanting a pair of sandals other than I wanted a pair of spring sandals. I had one pair of sandals, and those sandals meant the world to me because my dad took me to town, 17 miles, took me to town and bought me a pair of sandals at the shoe store here in California, which no longer exists. That shoe store is long gone, but my point is I wasn't spoiled, but I had moments where my parents were really good to me, so they loved me.
I always said that I was spoiled. I was the youngest girl, but I wasn't a spoiled brat, But so you can be spoiled, but there is a difference in when you become a brat. But we were poor. We didn't ask for things. Period. I mean, there was. We had everything we needed. At Christmas, we didn't get $800 computers and cell phones and things like that. We got socks and underwear. We got school clothes. We would always get school clothes at the beginning of the school year. And I can remember my brother saying, well, yeah, we the boys were very good at creating outfits with the clothes. They could switch, where, they could make different outfits with, the few pairs of pants and shirts that they had, always looking like they had something different. So, but you learn a lot of life lessons.
Mm.
And,
you do.
Yeah.
Well, we had, we got a pair of new shoes before school started, and then a pair of tennis shoes in the spring. And if
we got shoes when they wore out.
Yeah, well, the tennis shoes were wore out in 1 year. I mean, your toes were out and they didn't fit. I mean, you're kids, so you're growing. So I got a pair of white shoes in the spring at Easter and a pair of school shoes, which were for the, so you had basically 3 pairs of shoes. And the tennis shoes, I always got red. I always got red tennis shoes. They were Keds, which are expensive now, but they were cheap back then. And we went to Sears and Roebuck there down in Kansas City. They had the great big Sears and Roebuck store, and that's where we went to get our shoes and stuff. And, it was a big deal. The whole family, there was 5 of us, 5 kids. Well, Mom didn't drive, so Daddy had to drive, so we went downtown, went to Sears and Roebuck and did our shopping. That's where, if Mom didn't make my Easter dress, which normally she did, but one year, Daddy took us all. That boys got a suit for Easter, and I got a new dress, and Sis got a new dress, and that year we bought dresses because Mama had back surgery and she couldn't sew, so we bought dresses that year.
We always got Easter outfits, and I can always remember my mother would want to buy me black patent leather shoes.
Yeah.
I just hated them.
The Mary Janes?
I hated them as a kid.
I like them. Why did you not like those?
Good grief. So
usually get white ones for Easter. And you didn't get white. Because they were too hard to keep clean, probably.
Probably. But it was murder. But anyway. So
it was fun. Now you can laugh about it. Do you have a pair of black patent shoes now?
I probably do.
We won't even talk about how many pairs of shoes I've got now.
No, I'm not going to.
We'll move right along because we weren't spoiled at all, so we'll move right along.
That's great. When I moved from Pennsylvania to Maryland, and I found shoes that I thought, wow,
like Christmas. I didn't know I had these. Oh, we're going crazy here. Well, anyway, the War on Wisdom I thought was an interesting article, and you can find it if you go to the Heritage Foundation or just go to the Daily Signal. It was really well put, and I thought he did a very good job. He ends it, he says, here's one way to test my thesis. Ask left-wing friends what they have done to pass on wisdom to their children. Most will answer with a question, what do you mean? Then ask religious, Jewish, or Christian friends the same question, and they won't answer with a question. They'll tell you what they've done. So anyway, I thought that was kind of a fun article, and kind of telling because it was our generation that has caused some of the stupidity that's going on today. Derry used to say it was his generation that failed, and maybe it was. I don't know. He was. I guess.
Well, yeah, because they raised us. They raised the baby boomers.
Well, he wasn't World War II, though. He was Korean War. He wasn't in the military, but that was during the Korean conflict, not World War II. He was older than us, so. But not older enough to be I guess he could have been my dad. Did you get to watch President Donald Trump in Indiana? He was in his element. He was going off. Did you see that?
No, I had other things to do.
Oh.
It's probably the same as... Anyway, no.
Well, that wasn't exactly the same because he was talking about the people that he brought home, and he was talking about some other things. Then he was going off on Schumer. Schumer had made some stupid comments, and he went off on him. He just had fun. And he was in Indiana, and the one gentleman that had just won the primary there, he brought him up on stage. I can't remember. His first name was Mike. I don't remember the last name. But he brought him on stage and had him talk, and that was impromptu. And I thought, that's one thing I do like about his rallies. It's very open and impromptu. He just gets up there. I don't even think he's got anything. He might have some kind of outline that he follows barely. He just goes off, and I get a big kick out of it. He pointed out to the mainstream fake media that was sitting there, it was a packed house. I'm not sure what building they were in. I missed some of the first part of it. Actually, Vice President Pence opened up for him this time. And Anyway, it was just he's a cheerleader. It was pep rally, so to speak, is what happens when he does those rallies. And I didn't know if anybody else had watched him, what they thought of it. I know we don't agree with everything he's done in the last several months, but it's interesting, and things are. He was excited, and he was definitely in his element. But I also have an article here that says 6 more of the judicial nominees advanced to the Trump's bid to reshape the judiciary. So there's 6 more that are going to be coming in, and I think Congress is supposed to be voting on them shortly. And it says President Donald Trump is completing a strong week, and it is set to kick off a strong next week in his push to reshape the federal courts, with Senate Republicans forcing votes on 6 more of his judicial nominees. And so we're going to kind of watch how that takes place here next week. He's kind of listing them here. I'm trying to go through this real quickly. But there's 6 of them that they're going to be voting. I wish they'd put those in bold so you could really see it when they jump out at you. It says the president is having a particular significant impact on the 7th Circuit. Carrie Severino, chief counsel of the Judicial Crisis Network, told the Daily Signal, referring to the Chicago-based federal appeals court, he'll almost have a Trump class of appointees on that court. So in the 7th Circuit Court, it's that 9th one that always gets him, isn't it? He's got several that are coming up, and several different states. And it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds, because this is to get... I don't like them to call them liberal and conservative judges. I want to call them constitutional judges. So if we're getting constitutional judges on the bench, that's got to be a win for the American people. And so we'll just see what turns out next week as they vote on these 6.
You make a really good point. They need to be constitutional, judges, not left or right and so forth. But
I don't want to hear Democrat, Republican. I want to hear constitutional.
Yes, and that word has slipped out of in any news reporting anymore. I mean, very few even refer to the Constitution anymore, regardless of whatever topic they might be talking about when it comes to, a lot of these various programs and, elections, during these elections and so forth. They certainly have pushed that word kind of just away from everything. But and
this guy that had the war on wisdom, he was trying to alleviate the word liberal out of it, and he was just using left. Those that are on the left, not necessarily liberals that believe, we know what some of the liberals believe as far as they don't really believe in the Constitution, they believe in socialism, blah, 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 blah. But the left are just going crazy with some of their ideology, like cultural appropriation instead of appreciation, and just going crazy on those things. So I don't care about a judge being left or right or conservative or liberal. I want one that's constitutional.
There was a Jared Kushner. He scored his first major bipartisan deal in Congress. There was an effort led by Jared Kushner to both increase prison security and provide a pathway out for some 4,000 well-behaved prisoners that have scored a major and lopsided victory. The first major bipartisan deal for the Trump White House. The House Judiciary Committee voted 25-5 to back the First Step Act. And it is a shocking turn after the media had earlier written off chances that it would pass. We see it as a big win, says an administration official involved in the talks between House Republicans and Democrats. Well, it falls short of everything both sides had sought, especially sentencing reforms wanted by the Democrats. Some in the White House see the negotiations as a compromise model for future legislative projects. So
compromising gets to us, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes.
It does need reform.
So
I didn't quite understand everything that's going to take place with that, but we do need to have some things changed drastically in that arena for sure.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not quite sure which politicians, have a vested interest in a lot of these private jails, prisons, and so forth. So that always seems to have some sort of influence when it comes to trying to fix the, criminal justice system. And but we'll see how that goes out. The mass majority of federal prisoners, I guess they're going to try to rehabilitate a lot of these guys, and so forth and whatnot. So, it is true. I mean, there's so many in prison that really, it's hard anymore to just, yesterday we heard from Neil telling us that
how many are there that shouldn't be.
People sit in prison for a year or more, and it's certainly it's certainly an issue that needs to be addressed.
Many are there that shouldn't be, but we know we've got a lot of them that are there under this drug stuff, and whether they are pushers, users, or whatever, so. I'm not sure what all this is going to entail, but it'll be interesting to watch it. And there is some change that needs to be done drastically. We have a caller. We have Carol from Oklahoma. Carol, how are you today?
Hey, just fine, ladies. And
good morning.
I want to tell you, yes, Melody. Listen, I'm going to miss you guys, and I hate to hear you going, but hey, I wish you well in whatever takes up your time now. Next.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you very much.
And Listen, one thing, I want to put in a plug for a wonderful person that whenever you call Melody, she's always willing to help and answer your questions, and she is the most delightful person. Bless her little heart. And but many times I've called to ask about things and understand better, and she's always willing to answer. And you people talk to her, ask her, and invest with her, and check out her products. She's wonderful. You can trust her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't say anything, Carol.
She's trying. I'll talk for her. Carol, you've got it right on. I've known, you've probably known her longer than I have, and I have found her to be completely honest and genuine and sincere. And we've had so much fun doing this show, and it's just that our businesses, we don't want to give it up because we're having a blast. But
I know, but you've got things to do.
Yeah, we do. We have businesses to run. I have another show to do, and it's just, it just is what it is, and who knows? We might be back. Melody said that a few weeks ago. You never know. We might be back.
Hey, Carol, where do you want me to send that check? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, bless your heart.
Thank you, Carol.
Well,
very kind.
Give her phone number. We will give the phone number, though. Give Melody a call for all your precious metal needs at 1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate that. We're going to miss you, too. Okay, now we've got tears going. Melody, I know you're very humbled by that, but there's a lot to be said because the majority of people in the business that you're in are not genuine, are not sincere, and are not thinking about their customers above themselves, and I know that you do. And I appreciate that very much.
We need to get off. We need to get off of me. Well, let me find something I can get angry about. Let me find something. Oh, I know when I'm going to get angry. Well, I'm not going to talk about the orgy, but anyway, in Las Vegas.
Well, we have, as long as we're talking about stupidity. Well,
you want me to?
No. I've got to mention, there was a senior in Cornell University, and she was questioned on the length of her shorts by a professor during a presentation. She was making a presentation in class, and what's that?
We already talked about that.
No, we talked about that off the air. We didn't talk about it on the air.
No. Where she showed up in her undies?
Yeah, it was you and me on a commercial break. We didn't talk about that on air yet, unless you did on your other talk show.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Hey,
so anyway.
Did you hear this story before? Let us know.
You're trying to back me in a corner. No, it was you and me and Todd. It was you and me and Todd during the commercial break because I just now brought it up.
Okay. All right.
Okay. You really are having computer problems, aren't you, Melody? Anyway, she was questioned. So what does she do? She comes back and she decides to do her presentation in her underwear. And she says, she goes on, at least how I heard this story last evening. She goes on and she really thought her left mom, her leftist liberal mother, was going to support her, but it didn't turn out that way. Her mother thought she should have worn clothing to the event. Anyway, it just goes to show how ridiculous and lack of respect. It's a lack of respect to not show up dressed appropriately. Maybe not cultural appropriate, but dressed appropriately. If you're going to stand before a class or before a professor, that you really ought to try and put on your best. You don't have to wear a formal or anything, but you really ought to try and look nice. And she wore shorty shorts, and the professor made a comment about it. And I think it was a female professor, not a male professor. So I thought it was kind of a telltale story of what, this girl probably needs a cry closet later.
Well, Finland is opening up its female-only island. And despite an ongoing investigation by the Nordic Nations Equality Office into whether a woman-only business classifies as illegal discrimination, it's scheduled to open as planned. So it's a safe place where women can reinvent themselves and their desires. An island off the coast of Raspori in southern Finland is being touted as an all-inclusive, testosterone-free luxury resort. Testosterone-free.
Where's the fun in that?
I know.
Oh my God. I hear you think we're headed into a break. Well, I have something else here that might make you mad, might make you angry. Just another bit of corruption that goes on. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann. It is Open Mic Friday. I think we've got them all scared to death. 717-300-1218 is the number to call. That's 717-300-1218. And Melody and Beth Ann, we'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit DiscountGoldandSilverTrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately. and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
We have returned to listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. We already got done singing that to you. We're going to go to Doug in Pennsylvania. Doug, how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you guys doing this morning?
Just
We're doing great.
Thank you.
What's on your mind?
I just want to comment on, I think it was, maybe it was Melody that said this morning, when you both agreed that how far down this country has gone. When I was young, and I was in first grade, this shows how old I am, we used to get up and we'd say the Lord's Prayer, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes.
We'd sit down, they'd read a little bit out about just a sentence or so, put your head down for 5 minutes to think about what you heard, and then you'd start class. And then, did you say that now it's against the law to sell Bibles in California?
They've got a bill. It hasn't been passed yet, but they've got a bill that it could make it against the law, yes. The Bible and anything else that tries to sway people to change their sexual orientation.
That's unbelievable to me.
Only if they're so.
I just can't. I can't wrap my mind around that. I don't know. It's like they're pushing people to try to be homosexual. That's what it sounds like to me.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. They are desperate.
I mean, if you have any desires for someone in your own gender, don't be ashamed to act on them. What kind of nonsense is that? This country is going way downhill, and I think, God can only put up with so much, and then I think when He gets mad, we're all in some trouble. At least the people that are in California are anyhow. I just don't understand what's going on today. I know I'm a little mixed up and stuff because I'm terminally ill, but I get confused about all this. My mind can't accept it for some reason. This country has turned its back on God. I remember when Barack Obama said America's not a Christian nation anymore. All you hear about on all these TV channels and stuff is the weird stuff. They don't ever have a Christian point of view on any of that. And I don't think they ever will.
No, and you know what? It is all about, the LGBT movement. It's all about destroying Christianity. Mm-hmm. They took this group and and really when you look at the small percentage, you'd think that 50% of the population, is part of that movement. And it's not. It's a small percentage of the population, but look how it has been. Look at the propaganda. Yeah. Look at the propaganda on it, and the bottom line is to destroy Christianity. I mean, if you look at any other topic, any other situation, it doesn't have the same impact.
Oh no, not at all. I remember in the Bible it says that in the end times, wrong will be right and right will be wrong, and I think we're seeing that right now. I really do. I hate to say that, but
good will be called evil, and evil will be called good. And that's exactly
I think it's starting now. I mean, I can't believe this stuff. And like you said, it's just a small population, but look how much attention they give it. I mean, it's like you said, you'd think it was half the country, but because that's all you see, but it's not. They're surely pushing this agenda, though.
They certainly are. And you know what? It's funny because, centuries and centuries, you have the elite, you have the evil, And that's what this is all about, is a spiritual battle. And you would have the evil come out, and there was always strong religious movements that would always push them back underground. They never really, they'd come out and start doing their evil, and they would get pushed back. There was a fight, and they'd lose, and they'd be pushed back underground. This time we don't have that strength that we did.
The churches aren't. When I was young, it was mandatory in my household. My brother and I went to church. We had to go to Sunday school every Sunday, and then my parents would meet us at church, and we'd have to sit. And I remember walking out of church when I was 7, 8 years old, scared to death. You'll burn in hell. You don't have that kind of preaching anymore. It's all lame. They don't put out the message like they used to. I don't think so, anyhow.
No, they don't. And and the evil finally came out, and they project, because we were talking about good will be evil. It projects. They were able to do good things in the front, and then in the back door they were doing the evil, and people accepted the good. And all the same time they were, they didn't see the evil in the background. They just saw what the children's hospitals and all these good big programs that people fell for the deception.
Yes, they have. I read a book called Bloodlines of the Illuminati, and it talks about exactly what you just said about how something good's done, and people pay attention to that, but then they're always doing something in the back, and people don't seem to notice that, and they're too busy with the good, And hey, I didn't mean to take up so much time, but I want to wish you both good. Did I hear this show isn't going off the air, is it?
Yes, it is.
It'd be the 21st will be our last show.
Oh my goodness. May 21st.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you can still hear us. We just won't be at this hour. You can still hear us on our own other shows. I have CSC Talk Radio. You got that. And then Melody has her show that's on at 4 o'clock. With the Financial Survivor. And
yeah,
so
what channel, what frequency is that on?
It's WWCR 9.98 or 9988, but they also replay it at 8 o'clock, and then it's replayed in the morning also. And at 4 o'clock, WBCQ has it on 7490.
Yeah,
so there's.
Yeah, I love shortwave. I got a computer, but I don't go on it. My wife does a lot. I go on it once in a while, but my hands cramp up anymore. I can't do it. So I got that Dragon, but that thing is weird. I mean, it breaks on me all the time, and it starts writing things I don't want it to write. It's bizarre. Okay, well, you guys have a good day, and I'm very sorry to hear about this because I look forward to your show every morning.
Well, thank you.
And you know what,
Doug?
So did I.
You never know. Yeah, we enjoy it, as you can tell.
I look forward to it every morning also, but I just couldn't continue discount.
Too much of a big pay. That's a big. You got a lot of things going on, and
Yes.
You sooner
and it's not
sooner or
age.
later you got to slow down,
It's not age.
Not age, no. Not that we're old.
No, I know. Me either.
Doug, thank you.
God bless you, Doug. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. And, hey, God bless you both, and I wish you both the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. God bless you. We had a caller that called and talked to our producer, and they want your information, Melody, so I'm going to give that right now. DGScoins.com is the website for discount gold and silver trading. It's DGScoins.com. Her phone number in her office is 1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188 for discount gold and silver trading, and you will talk to Melody.
Yes, and gold has been moving up a little bit, although with everything that's going on. I mean, you just look at the suppression of the precious metals, and I mean, it truly is amazing. But as long as that stock market is holding at close to 25,000, who wants to? It takes away the discussions of gold, but more and more you're hearing people, I mean, you're talking, $5,000-$6,000 for the prices of gold, and certainly silver will come right along. So they've been doing well. With a stronger dollar, they've been doing well, and that we've seen of late, and particularly with what's going to be happening in the Middle East here in the near future. And I do believe that that is not going to go away and end quietly. No. So they are after a regime. They are after a regime change, and they're going to get a regime change, and that's not going to be good. So
never has been. It's never worked out in our favor.
No, and I think this time in Iran is different than when we're looking at Libya and Iraq, and Iran is different. Well,
the reason they have what they have is our fault. So yeah, it's a mess over there.
So, get yourselves protected. And I had a great little story. I should have shared that today. I shared it on yesterday's program about a candy company manufacturer. Maybe we'll share that on Monday, because I hear
talk about candy on Monday. Let's talk about candy on Monday. I hope it's good candy. You are listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and it is Friday. We appreciate all of you for listening to us, and we will be back on Monday. You have a great and wonderful week.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.